Owning a home in New South Wales is getting harder and harder. You've got to listen to this next 10 minutes because we're going to tell you how you can do it. Stay tuned. Ooh. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Do you know what? We always hear about it, about the affordability. We don't quite know. There's inflation, there's wage growth, there's your rents, there's your sales prices. And you know it feels like it's harder for the younger generation, but you don't know if it actually is harder for the younger generation. So we want some information on that, because heavily to wages and to prices and deposits and stuff. And is it really harder or is it easier?
Yeah, spot on. You need to see the numbers to really believe the argument. It's all good and well saying, oh, well, back in my day, this is how it looked. To own a home in New South Wales, it is statistically harder now than before. Don't get me wrong, there's some awesome first home buyer grants that have phased in over the years that may not have been around before. However, breaking it back down to, I guess, three really, really important things about owning a home. Here's the numbers. Let's go off the top. So,
let's talk about deposit. Now, deposit, is it harder today to get a deposit than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago? What I mean by that is the banks require securitization. They require that down payment, that deposit, so they feel comfortable about giving you the loan. So you need a chunk of money just before you start. And was it easier to get that chunk of money together today, or was it easier to get that chunk of money together in the 90s, in the 2000s, in the 2010s? Give us your headline numbers, Billy.
Well, back in 1983, 84, it was as low as 2.5 years to save for a deposit. Currently, we're sitting about 7 years. So, it's doubled and doubled again. But got to remember, guys, deposits traditionally were 10, 20%. For a first-time buyer these days, you can get away with 5% and not pay any lender's mortgage insurance. So I'm not sure. Obviously, we're relying a little bit here on Daily Telegraph, who put this together for us this morning. But keep that in mind. We're not always trying to save for 20% anymore.
So it took a kid 2.5, or not a kid. It took a human 2.5 years to get a deposit together in '93. 5 years to get a deposit. You could get 10 years later, it doubled. It stayed 5 years, another 10 years later, and then 6 and 7. So it's actually tripled the amount of time it takes people to get a deposit together to buy a home in Sydney. Average mortgage repayments, let's have a look at that. Average mortgage repayments. So this is how much of your wage is going to go towards the mortgage. Now, bear in mind, back a massive thing that's changed these days is monthly costs. So back in the 80s and 90s, when you bought something, you generally owned it. There wasn't leasehold, there wasn't your Netflix subscription, there wasn't your mobile phone, 4 mobile phones in a household every month paying for that, internet paying for that. The trend has changed that there's a lot more monthly costs today than there was. So that takes away a lot of your income again. Let's have a look at 1995, Billy Bob.
Well, 85 down the bottom is 22%, and that's as low as it's ever been. It came back in 2000, so that was obviously a really good run. It's been as high as 42% in 1990, which it's creeping up to almost half of your income by the time you factor in some of your other bills.
And that would have been because the interest rates were 17, 18% then. So it made it ultra hard, very unaffordable. 42% in the 90s.
There you go. We've we're creeping back up that way at the moment. It's obviously averaged out at 29% between 2000 2015, but more recently 2023, 39%. It's a lot.
So that's a lot. The 40% of your wage almost is going towards a mortgage for an average Australian. That sounds really painful.
Yeah, and then you add in your strata water council, if that applies, and some of your other insurances for landlord, whatever it looks like, it's expensive.
Billy, can you turn the camera around so I can see you there, mate? Is that okay? I just got you. I'm talking to your ear.
Can't see me.
Your ear's very attractive.
Better or worse?
Just spin that. Worse. Just spin that camera around. Better. Worse. 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 That's better. That's better. Think a little bit more. You're half a face now. Hey.
No, I can't see me.
Okay, cool. So now the share of homes affordable. So can you explain that to us? So the share of homes affordable for household median price income. Okay, explain that.
This was the most striking of all three for me. So share of homes affordable for New South Wales median income, and then down the bottom it's got it assumes household spending 25% on repayments. So assuming that everyone's spending a quarter of their income on household repayments, they've calculated how many homes in New South Wales can the average person buy. Now, back in 1995, coming in sort of around 20% there. It's been as high as 27% from what I can see in 2009. So that's pretty good. That means 27% of properties you can get into the market, 1 in 4, and you only need to spend about 25% of your income. But that's now as low as 7%. Really interesting. Really interesting.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
So that is the affordability. They're projected across New South Wales. What's the solution?
Well, I think there's a couple of different solutions. For first home buyers, if you're worried about getting into your first place, you've really got to take advantage of what government schemes are on the table. Without them, I think it is almost a near impossible dream. However, once you start factoring in that you can get away with a 5% deposit, no lender's mortgage insurance, if you fall into some of the other categories as well, sometimes it's even less than a 2%. Sometimes it can be as low as a 2% deposit. So that's one example. But affordability?
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
I think, you know what? I think it also makes it harder as you wait longer. People, it's actually it's like catching a falling knife. This property market. The one thing that I was looking at the other day was the average age of someone buying. So I think if you can get in and build a base, build in equity, the younger you are, the better, because people are leaving all this stuff for later. And, later you've got kids, you've got more fixed costs of running a household than you do when you're single and free like Billy Boy, or even maybe living at home. So yeah. I think that if people really want to make life easy for themselves, my big tip for today, if people really want to make it easy for themselves in the future, in property, with affordability, with interest rates, with those factors that we've spoken about today, I would be suggesting that in between 17 and 25, you start building in your deposit and buying. Obviously, you need to be over 18, but buying as early as possible, which will then start you on that path, so your loan won't be as big as you get older.
Yeah, that's actually really good advice. So we've got a studio apartment as an example at the moment. Really nice to live in. Would make an awesome first home, but even if you're not quite ready to move into it just yet, rents for $5.90 a week. So it's almost paying for itself, which is a really good example of that.
And that's a show, Billy. Have a great day. Listen, I heard there was a fire at your place yesterday at Father's Day.
On the barbecue, Dad got a bit carried away. Nothing out of control.
I've got to stick up for Dad. I reckon it wasn't even his fault. It was the barbecue's fault.
Hey, hasn't been tested in a while. Had to get the rust off it.
So it just went out of control with the huge flames. Neighbours came out.
Yeah, no neighbours, but let me just show you a photo of the fire at its worst.
Mum wasn't impressed.
No, Mum wasn't impressed. Oh, that's not too good, is it? You might be able to see. You can see the flame there. I
can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's lost control.
Yeah.
Good Father's Day.
Yeah, really good day. I hope you had a good day too. And
what'd you get, Dad?
Barbecue meat rubs. That's why we had the barbecue out.
How good is that? How good is that? And
Stev's, one of our colleagues, was on the news, so it was a busy day for the team. Hope you had a good day too.
Oh, look, that was a beautiful. He was on Channel 7. Mr. Step 1, Stevan Bubalo, with his beautiful family throwing a football like a good dad. And for people who don't know, Steve's son, when he was born, needed a kidney, and Stephen transplanted one of his kidneys, adult-sized kidney, into his baby son. And there was risks that an adult kidney can't work, and it worked. So he's got Maxie's a healthy young boy throwing around a football. I think he's 7 now, 8. Yeah. And congratulations to him for Father's Day.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was spot on. All right. Have a good day.
Have a great day, everyone. See ya.